Very good. Good evening, everyone. Let's get started. Welcome to the November 12th meeting of the City of Minnetonka Sustainability Commission. Excuse me while I put on my reading glasses. This is our 13th in-person meeting and 5th this year. The Commission generally meets every other month on the second Tuesday of the month. The schedule and tentative agenda can be obtained by contacting the city's planning division or by visiting the city's website at minnetonkamn.gov. Residents can provide input on the agenda via email or provide input tonight during this meeting. The Sustainability Commission's first meeting was May of 2021. Since then, we have accomplished a lot of tremendous work that's useful and practical for the city residents. Here at the City of Minnetonka, areas of review for the Commission include air, water, energy, land, and ecological resources, recycling and waste management, and other related sustainability areas not addressed by City Code or another city advisory group. The Sustainability Commission has a unique role here in Minnetonka, as we serve both as an advisor to the City Council and as an ambassador for the city programs. As an advisor to the City Council, the Sustainability Commission makes recommendations on city plans, policies, procedures, programs, practices, and proposals that relate to sustainability and conservation of our environmental resources. Final decisions are then made by the City Council. As an ambassador, the Sustainability Commission attends events to promote city initiatives with the public. That is item 1 on our tonight's agenda. Item 2 is our roll call. And with that, would you, Ms. Wishnak, please call roll?
Yes, Bird. Carr.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Norman.
Here.
Patain. Here. Chair Golub.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Wishnak. There are 6 of us here tonight. That concludes item number 2. Moving along to item number 3 is our approval of our minute, or our agenda, excuse me. Ms. Wishnak, do you have anything you'd like to share regarding tonight's agenda?
Yes, Chair and
Thank you.
Commissioners. I do have a change to the agenda if you're so inclined. It is a presentation by Ridwell, which is a company that does recycling of products that aren't easily recyclable. We talked about this at our last meeting. We weren't sure if we could get them here. I thank Commissioner Meyer for helping with the organization of getting them here tonight. So if you wouldn't mind, we would add an agenda item after the organics recycling item and do a presentation with the Ridwell company.
Thank you, Ms. Wishnak. With that change, would someone like to approve the agenda as so changed? Is there a motion to make that change?
Motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the Ridwell presentation.
Thank you very much.
I'll second the motion.
Very good. We've had a second. Ms. Wishnak, would you please poll the commission members?
Carr.
Approved.
Henry.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Norman.
Yes.
Patain.
Yes.
Chair Golub.
Yes, the motion passes. Thank you very much. We will now move on to agenda item number 4, which is approval of the minutes from the September 17th, 2024 agenda. Does anyone have any changes to those minutes? I'm looking over. No one is indicating they do. I've also reviewed the minutes, so there are no changes? Ms.
I
Wishnak?
did get a note from Commissioner Meyer, so if you could verbalize what you wrote to me,
Yes.
that would be
Just
great.
two minor clarifications, and it's in the work plan, page 4, where I had suggested green teams. It would be neighborhood green teams specifically. That's about line 27. And then on page 5, at the very end of our 2025 Commission Work Plan discussion, the very last paragraph of that section, there was discussion about double-sided handouts, and that was specifically for climate action to-do lists for residents to review.
Thank you. With that change, do I have a motion to accept the minutes as then so approved with that change? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Very good. Do we have a second?
I
Second.
second.
Thank you. Ms. Wishnak, would you please poll the commission members?
Carr,
Approved?
Henry,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Patane,
Yes.
Chair Gollum.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. That concludes item number 4 on tonight's agenda. We will move along to item number 5, which are agenda items. A few comments I'd like to just add very briefly on the procedure here. When we proceed on the agenda items, I will ask staff or our visitor for their presentation. I will then ask my fellow commissioners to ask clarifying questions to the presenter. If there are questions we would like answers to, that would be great. If no one is registered to comment, I will then open and close the public input portion for this agenda topic. If the agenda topic is informational, no vote is necessary, and we'll go on to the next topic. So that is the procedure. So with that, I'll turn the meeting back to Ms. Wishnak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Just a little introduction from me, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Ellingson, who will go through the organics recycling contract that the city is considering as we speak. And so we felt it was a timely issue for the Commission to be aware of this procedural change from the city, as well as if you had any feedback or any questions. I think that Mr. Ellingson uses this as a sounding board, if you will, for what is to come as far as changing over to organized organics collection. So with that, I'm going to change over to Mr. Ellingson, and he'll go through the proposed contract.
Good evening, Chair and Commission. So a little bit about the organics, or I guess for those of you who haven't met, I'm the Street and Park Operations Manager at Public Works. So I oversee the park and street maintenance divisions. And in addition to that, I'm also the recycling coordinator for the city. So I oversee our citywide recycling contract with Republic Services, who's our current provider for our curbside collection, plus the recycling drop-off center at Public Works, and then also our special events that we have, the special drop-off days, paper shredding days, and then the brush and leaves and yard waste drop-off site at Public Works. So all that kind of falls under the line of the net recycling part. So so in the packet is a brief breakdown of the what we're looking at for extending our contract with Republic Services. So we currently have a contract with Republic that ends at the end of this year. And we had two options of what we looked at this year was look at extending the contract, negotiating that price, or going out for an open request for proposals to all haulers. So based on what we've seen from results of other cities doing an RFP, request for proposal. Several of those cities saw pretty large increases when they went out for an RFP. And then, so at the same time, we negotiated some pricing for an extension with Republic, and felt that was pretty favorable, pretty minor increases, kind of in line with our past increases. So we felt that was the better way to go, to know what we have and control costs for the residents. So that's where we are now. So currently, the contract provides like I said, the recycling drop-off center, and then the curbside recycling for roughly 16,000 homes in the city, between single-family homes, townhomes, up to fourplex multifamily homes. So right now, so that's kind of the recycling part of it. And then on the organics, so I'll back up a little bit and kind of go through the history of the organics. So in 2018, Hennepin County updated their Ordinance 13, which made changes, small changes to the recycling requirements, but also had focused more on organics collection. Part of that was to require cities in the county, starting in 2022, to offer curbside organics collection to the residents. So in this county and then across the metro, there's kind of two ways that those provided. Closed haul systems or organized hauling, where the city provides the trash service. They provide the recycling all in one. Or there's like Minnetonka and other cities, Eden Prairie, Maple Grove, Plymouth, Golden Valley, open hauling, where residents pick their own trash hauler to handle their trash. And then we have the recycling contract that we provide for a citywide contract. So as part of that requirement, so the requirement is that we had to offer or make curbside organics collection available to residents. So to meet that, since we're an open haul city, we just required the trash haulers to offer organics collection as a subscription service, which several other cities did. So we proceeded that way. For those that wanted to participate, they contacted their hauler, they paid an additional fee for the organics, and they went on their way, got their organics collected. In 2023, cities similar to Minnetonka received notification from Minnesota Pollution Control Agency that there's state law that says that haulers can't charge an additional fee for recycling that they wouldn't charge to somebody who doesn't participate in recycling. And then organics falls into that recycling tab. So essentially what that means is the haulers were then required to charge all of their trash customers an organics fee for organics, whether they participated or not. So that we were notified of that in 2023, that basically we were able to get things in line and notified the trash haulers that I believe it was the first of this year that they had to be in compliance with the state law and then charge single-family trash customers for organics collection. So, and as I understand it, it's generally there's 4 haulers that are licensed in Minnetonka, and it's generally approximately that they would charged around $21 to $22 a quarter. So slightly between $7 and $8 a month for organics collection to their customers. So, as part of the organics, as part of our contract extension with Republic, we wanted to go down the avenue to see how could we organize the organics collection similar to our recycling contract. So, working with Republic, and then we worked on some pricing. Obviously, it's a different participation levels. So on the recycling side, we get between right around 92 to 95% of Minnetonka residents participate in regular curbside recycling. So your pop bottles and cans and paper and cardboard, that. Organics collection, starting back in 2022, even we started incentivizing or trying to get people to participate prior to the county ordinance, going back to 2018 or 19. We started to when the county passed the ordinance 13. So we've been trying to get people to increase their participation in organics. So in the last 6 years, prior to this year, when the law changed and all residents had to pay for organics, we were right around 5 to 6% of Minnetonka households were participating in organics collection. So 92 to 95% recycling and 5 to 6% in the organics. So big change there. So we said, okay, on the recycling side, we have a recycling fee that everybody pays on the recycling bill. So whether you participate or you don't, everybody pays a recycling fee on their utility bill. And currently you pay $7.33 a month for the recycling, which covers all the recycling and the brush and leaf shop and all that stuff. So the different scenarios of pricing to say what it would be, and then so if residents were paying, on that $7 to $8 a month for to their hauler for organics, but we have a real low participation rate. We want to really make sure that if we start this off, if there's only 5% of the population or the households participating, that we didn't want to have paying the hauler a really big number for low participation. We really wanted to have them come close to matching their costs and profit to what they're charging residents. So with that, we were able to get that. So on the chart that's on your screen there, on the right-hand side, the participation, we have a sliding scale of a monthly cost for the participation rate and then what the monthly rate is. So if we're in that 10 to 15% range, so our contract price with Republic would be $310 to $360 per month for what we would have a contract price for. That would be what we would charge residents would be a little bit more than that, just because of what the city has for administrative costs to oversee the contract. But pretty favorable price difference between the $7.37 to $8 residents are paying a month to, down to, under $4 a month. So thought that was a pretty good savings to residents to capitalize on organizing that part of the organics costs. And then on this chart, we did a poll, or we reached out to other cities to see what they were paying for their recycling contracts and then also for their organics contracts. And it is quite a big range. We're pretty much, I would say, close to the middle or maybe even the bottom part of that. So I'm thinking that we feel that the price we're getting from Republic for the contract extension, we feel pretty confident it's a good way to go. So that's where we are today. So the next steps will be to finalize the contract. So the next step will be to be on the council meeting for this coming Monday on the 18th. Providing that passes, then we'll have a number of steps to get rolling and get people participating. So there'll be a lot of communication to residents through social media, the Minnetonka Memo website, utility billing. We have a good relationship with Hennepin County. They provide a lot of services for getting out information. So we would work with Hennepin County to get information out. And then we'll come up with maybe some video storytelling. And then aside from the household or the residential curbside collection, there'd also still be always opportunities to increase participation with multi-unit buildings and business partnerships. So, and then the last part of it, so if we do this, provided it gets approved, we would start getting input or signups from residents starting at the beginning of January, get everything in place, get carts organized, and then get carts out to the residents at the beginning of March. So we have a few months to kind of get everybody switched over from their current haulers, get everything in line, know who's going to get the carts, and then get the cart roll out, and then get it hitting the ground at the beginning of March. So with that, hopefully I covered it all pretty good, but it's fairly quick. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Darren? Go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for the presentation, Darren, too. Do you have numbers on participation percentages in the organics recycling program for this year? That would seem to indicate how people responded to that policy change where we have everybody paying as a big pool. And I'm assuming the percentages went higher than the 5 to 6% in the previous year.
It definitely has, but I only have that to base on a little bit that we've talked to Republic. At the end of the year, we provide a report to Hennepin County in February to recap the previous year. So that's when we get the numbers from the haulers of what is their participation rates that they had for this year. But I'm certain that they're all up quite a bit. Just Republic alone, when we were working before this all changed, they were at 700, 600 participants in organics, and they're over, I think it was over 1,000 or 1,100. So, and that was 2-3 months ago. So I'm sure that number is still going up. So that's just the one hauler. Waste Management is a big hauler. They have many customers. They probably have seen a similar increase. Curbside and Suburban Waste are not on the scale of Republican Waste Management, so they just don't have the number of trucks to do it. But I'm pretty sure that they would also be increasing. But I just don't have the solid numbers to give you.
Sure. And that makes sense. The year's not over yet, but I'm glad to hear your anecdotal evidence that at least the participation rates are increasing.
Yes.
Good. Thank you. A larger question, and maybe it's beyond the scope of what we're talking about here, but since you're responsible for streets and everything else too, is this change going to have any effect on the longevity of our streets? I know that the proposal to have one common garbage hauler in contract with the city, some of the benefits of that were that we wouldn't have 3 or 4 garbage trucks driving down the same street every week. So I know it's a contentious issue. People like their garbage haulers, but there are definite environmental streets benefits to having one hauler. If you could just give us your opinion about that in relation to the organics recycling.
Short answer, yes, it would be better. To quantify it is pretty hard. Obviously fewer trucks. If you have 3 haulers going down the same street and they're all picking up at different houses, you have the same number of trucks. Or 3 times as many more trucks, or 4 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you do have a lot more vehicle trips. Now, the trucks, they're not going to as many houses. They may not be as heavy versus if you have one hauler and they're getting every house as they go on the street, you have a fully loaded truck going versus maybe 3 partially loaded trucks. So there's slight differences. There's obviously always wear and tear. The biggest opportunity for damage to the roadways is the springtime when the frost is coming out of the ground and you got heavy trucks going down a road. So that's why on many streets around the city, you'll see that we have spring road weight restrictions. So garbage haulers are exempted from that by state law, but that's the time when the most potential damage could happen to a street. So it's hard to quantify what it would be. Yes, I would agree it would be less wear and tear. To say how much, if we change it, okay, if we overlay a street every 15 years now, would it be 15 and a half? Would it be 17, 20? Is not really a way to, I don't know of a way that I could quantify it.
Have you had any anecdotal or quantifiable evidence from other cities that have adopted that policy? And have you asked other streets managers in those cities to see if they've had longer durations between resurfacing of roads in their neighborhoods?
I've not asked that specific question, but I know that this is all very new, so all these cities that are doing this, there's not much time under the belt to see that change in the roadways. So I have not asked that specific question, but I think even if I had, I don't know if anybody would know that answer yet, since this is all so new.
Okay, thanks. And then,
Chair, may I? The only thing I would like to, because a lot of this stuff is shared with the public, and I always say to people, short of that, of organized collection overall, you as citizens and residents of your neighborhoods can surely go around to your neighborhood and try to get organized hauling for your neighborhood. And so we've often said that to folks who are interested in that, and if you want to try it more on a grassroots level to try to change at least your small part or your neighborhood, we often recommend that to people to see if you can do it, if you can get people on board with you with the very things that you're saying, Commissioner Henry. So I think there's an appeal there to maybe try it locally first and see how it goes. And the more people that do that, the more ability I think the city has. So because it is not an easy topic, and we monitor people's opinions about this every year in the community survey. What was last year's? Was it 60 some people said?
I don't
60%.
recall.
I'll look up the percentage, but it's pretty heavy on the don't change my life, kind of opinion. So not that that's why we do certain public policy, but it is one of the considerations. So
Julie, does that include feedback from Minnetonka Matters on our site too?
no, it's on the official analytical survey that the city does, so that it's statistically significant. We don't like to use whoever visits the website data when we make those types of decisions, but I'll look that up, what the exact percentage was.
Thank you. And then a tactical question about some of the data that you showed us. Champlin residents pay $60 a month, and that seems over 10 times as much as everybody else. Is that a misprint, or are they getting some really good benefits from that $60 a month? Do you have any information on that? I'm just curious.
I know that in all honesty could be a typo.
Could be 6.
It could be 6. I think that seems like I'd be hard pressed to, I gotta believe that's probably a typo.
Okay, and then Fridley's being $11 a month, that's over twice as much as everybody else. Do they just negotiate a pretty bad deal, or do they?
I don't have the details of it. I wasn't the one that made the call, so I don't have the background for how they got their pricing.
Sure.
Some of this was we able to get off of the websites also.
Okay, thanks. Last question I have right now is the participation percentages. It showed that as the level of percentage increases, that so does the individual unit cost per household. And that seems to go opposite of how most pricing goes, because you have higher density, economies of scale. You think that the more percentage, the cost would go down. So can you explain how that works?
Not 100%, but it costs more to say when we talk to them, say, okay, so you have 1,000 houses that are participating, it costs X dollars. And then just because, if you increase that to 2,000, granted every house is still paying, but the cost still goes up. So we had a little bit of discussion on it, but I can't give you the whole breakdown, but it's adding more trucks, more stops. There's only 2 places that the organics can get taken to, either the Mdewakanton Sioux Organics Recycling Facility in Shakopee or the SET site in Rosemount. They can, I guess the Brooklyn Park Transfer Station is also a place that the material can get hauled to, but that's just a transfer station, so it goes from there to either Shakopee or Rosemount from the Hennepin County Transfer Station. So it's more based on just their cost of increasing costs to serve more households. It does go against the brain, right? That there's more people participating it should go down, but it doesn't pencil out that way.
Sorry, it seemed like cost per truck mile, if you've got, let's say, twice the participation percentages and you have the same number of miles driven by the trucks, but then you have over twice the revenue, but that's okay. It is what it is, and I'll accept that, but it sounds like Chair has some other things to add.
Well,
If I may just respond,
Certainly,
I think,
certainly, Ms.
but
Burkett,
you're
please.
also not accounting for how long it takes. So there are more stops. That time frame to pick up is lengthened, which adds hours and people and I mean, that's how I thought about it.
If I can add just a little bit to that, going back, reflecting how old I am. In 1981, the city of St. Paul hired a consultant. I won't mention their names. They're still in business, a very reputable company. And they did a study, and they looked at, not organic collection, but they looked at recycling. They looked at organized collection versus open. And they looked at all these different cost elements. They looked at the cost of labor. They looked at the cost of insurance. They looked at the cost of wear and tear. They looked at the cost of paying the driver. All of those costs have a huge impact, and they all have a bearing on the cost. The unit, you would think that the unit cost would go down, but there's profit too. And we could have an interesting discussion offline and go into a lot of details. That study probably still exists on someone's bookshelf in the city of St. Paul in Public Works, but it was all assessed very carefully back in 1981. I know that because I had a copy of that report when I was working as an environmental consultant for many, many years. I no longer have that report, but they did look at that. So it seems counterintuitive, but that's how the numbers cranked out to be. Darren, I have a couple of questions for you with regard to organics collection.
Chair, can I add something really
Oh,
quickly?
yes, by all means,
for like
by all
a
means.
visual.
No. Yes, yes.
So right now, the curbside that comes and picks up for me, who's Republic, comes in a pickup truck with a little, and it has a little thing on the back that like dumps it. But going from that, I imagine to actually like a hauler garbage truck, I can only imagine the cost associated with that. So when I think of, and we're the only organics recycling curbside that receives that on. Gosh, when I drive around, I don't see any other ones for quite a ways. So going from a little, it's an actual like F-1, like a pickup truck, to an actual hauler that's going to be able to come around and take people's organics recycling. I can't imagine the cost associated with that. So just like for a visual.
Thank you, Commissioner. One question that I have, and it's based on personal experience, because I don't have any children living in my house anymore. We generate less organic waste. I've been collecting it, and I have been dropping it off at Public Works because I don't live that far from Public Works, so it's not a problem for me to do that. My wife has a kitchen scale, and I've been weighing how much we typically take over there. We collect probably a small amount in a biodegradable plastic bag, probably about this much. Now, it's organic, so it's heavier than other materials. And the weight might be a pound and a half. Certain times of the year, it may be higher around Thanksgiving. Depends on how much fresh fruit that we have during the course of the year, such as watermelon rinds, cantaloupe. But we don't generate that much, relatively speaking. My question is, and I had asked Republic this a long time ago. What type of container are you going to provide to those of us that live in Minnetonka? And I said, we don't generate very much in terms of volume and in terms of the corresponding weight. What container size are you going to be providing to us? And they said, well, we've got side loading trucks. And I said, I know what kind of trucks you guys have. Well, it's going to be the same type of container that you have right now. And I kind of groaned a little. I said, that's like a 55 or 65 gallon container. I said, that seems absurd to me. I don't need that large a container. We'll never generate that much, ever. And it takes up a lot of space in my garage, which I'm going to have to create space just to accommodate that large container. And I said, I think the smallest one they were going to offer was maybe 50, they're still going to offer a large container. It wasn't going to be a small container. And I realized they want to standardize the containers so that their folks can grab it with their side loader and pick it up and dump it into the truck. I get it, but it seems overkill to me as a resident to generate amount of organic material this big to go into a 50 or 55 gallon container. I mean, you're going to have to look in there just to see it. So that was one question. And another question, and I don't expect really to answer the question because I think we're all going to be given large containers that can go into the grapple and they can grab it and they'll just dump it into the truck. I get it. You mentioned that, we have curbside collection, which is a pretty high very high citizen participation rate, 92 or 95%, and that's fantastic. And right now, the organics collection is about 5% or so. It's a very small number. Do we have any idea? I had posed this to our last recycling coordinator, but he's no longer in that position. If he had any idea how many folks are voluntarily dropping off biodegradable bags at Public Works site. And I don't know that we know how many people do that. Darren, do you have any idea or no?
How many people are dropping off at the dumpster,
Yeah,
organics dumper of
or
Public Works?
corresponding, how much material in terms of weight, as I really don't want to get involved with volume. It's misleading. The haulers have been doing that for years, trying to trick people with volume. It should be weight. How many pounds or tons, is picked up of organic material, every other week, every 2 weeks, every month? I was just curious if we as a city even know that.
I have the numbers on awareness first, and then maybe you can think about like the actual tonnage that you're. So on the city survey last year, they were asked, "Are you aware of organic waste dumpster at the Public Works building?" So we're wondering how many people know that it's there even, right? So 39% of the people weren't aware. So some of this educates them, like, hey, there's already a dumpster out there that you can put your organics in. And then if they were aware, do they use it? 13% say they do.
They do.
And then if they were aware but they don't use it, that was 46%. So that's kind of telling you if people know it's there. That hopefully gave Darren enough time to look up your other information on the, and he's locked out of his computer.
I can't.
Okay.
So I can get you that number. We do provide it as part of that reporting that I mentioned that we give to the county every February. I have gotten the weight of how many tons. It's many, many tons. I can't remember because the dumpster gets emptied twice a week, 52 weeks a year. I believe it's Tuesdays and Thursdays the dumpster gets emptied. Some days, after a long weekend, it's heaping full. So it's, I don't want to throw out a wrong number. I believe it's over 100 tons, way over that. But I would have to, I can get the number to Julie and we can get that out to you.
That would be great. I appreciate it. It's comforting to know that there is a lot of organics, that people are voluntarily driving over there and dropping their organics in the container. It's comforting to know that. I had no idea, and I was hoping that we might actually have that information so that if we're ever asked in the future, well, approximately where X amount of material is being dropped off and diverted from a landfill. So that's good to know. So thank you.
Yeah, and then to answer your first question, I believe we haven't got all the details worked out yet, but I believe the organics cart, is going to be a 35-gallon cart.
Okay, that's better than a 55
or in that
gallon.
35 to 50. So the most common recycle cart is a 65-gallon, and then for the big recyclers, they can get 95-gallon carts. So those are the two main sizes of the recycling carts. And the organics cart would be smaller. Like, I'm not with 100% certainty it's 35, but I would also have to get that number and get it to Julie to get that to you.
Yeah, if you could, that would be useful, because I do think people have different size garages, and you have a snowmobile, and you have a lawnmower, and you have lots of other items. Some people, I'm sorry, snow blower, not a snowmobile, snow blower and a lawnmower. Yeah. So some people may have a bit of a space for issue to deal with in their garages. Now,
Another upside of get more organics participation is you don't need as big of a trash cart anymore from your trash hauler. So maybe there's an opportunity to get a smaller trash cart to go with hopefully a smaller organics cart, and then hopefully eventually there's could possibly be an opportunity to get, maybe people are doing every other week garbage and a smaller trash cart. So there's more ways to try to hopefully reduce trips and save money for homeowners.
that makes intuitive sense. However, if we're not putting any organics into the garbage and it's picked up regularly, you won't have you'll basically have inorganic type material. We don't hardly generate any garbage on a weekly basis. Virtually all of our material is recycled, and then the organics is collected. So it would be beneficial if we had a smaller size container. It would be nice to know if Republic has thought about that in a practical sense, because right now I think I have a 65-gallon garbage can, and my recycling bin I think is the same volume. I think it's 65 gallon, and we hardly have any material in our garbage can. And I think Republic has a smaller one, but it's not that much smaller. It's certainly not 35 gallons or 30. I think it was 50 or 55. So it would be nice if that was ever a possibility for homeowners going forward. Anyway, thank you. Yes, Dave, Commissioner.
Thank you. First of all, nice analysis on your charts. I don't know how you came up with all the numbers, but good work on presenting information that's really well organized and understandable. So thanks for that. My question is kind of more behavioral. What will the residents kind of be expected to do? Is there going to be some training on what's organic and what isn't, and when it's going to be starting? And I mean, maybe everybody else knows, and if we've already had this conversation, I'll ask you later and not bother everybody, but will there be some training or something in the Minnetonka memo saying if you have a hamburger, you're going to throw it away, put it over there. If you have something else, put it over there.
Yes, exactly what that's going to be, I can't tell you, but yeah, we currently have a lot of that, and Hennepin County has a good source of information that they have on their website for organics. But yes, we would publish that in the memo. That'd be all part of that whole communications package we work on, whether it's the lead up to or once it's in March. We'll keep getting that information out to people, have it on the website. We currently have it on the website. What's you should put in your organics cart now and what shouldn't. So it's just a matter of expanding on that and getting the word out to people.
Okay, thank you.
And we're hopeful that you all are doing that as ambassadors at some of our outreach events that we're talking about later in the agenda. So that is one of the reasons I think Darren's here, so that people can share the information he's sharing with you, so that you can go forward and share it with others.
So in general, we'd be expected to separate in the house as well as have a third container that we take out to the curb. Those are the things the residents will need to do. Okay, thank you.
The cart rollout would be in March. So
Okay.
you won't have a cart until March.
Okay.
But so we just need that time to get everything ready, get the education going, get the communication going, get everybody signed up, make sure we know who's supposed to get a cart, get the carts delivered, and then start collecting. So right now the schedule is to start that on the beginning of March.
Thank you.
Commissioner Carr, you come over to my house, I'll show you how it's done. It's easy peasy. My son, we've been organics recycling since my son was like 8-ish. Anybody can do it.
We have a tour?
You can definitely have a tour. It's easy peasy. I love it. You
Okay.
can definitely have a tour. It's
All
you-
right. I'm
it's
looking
easy.
forward to it.
Yes, absolutely.
I concur with Commissioner Petain. It's very straightforward. Any other questions? Commissioner Meyer? Yes.
One clarification and, or a couple clarifying questions. And in response to, I agree that as we've introduced organic recycling in addition to compost, our trash is now a small bag every other week, and there might be some option to decrease the frequency of trash hauling, because if we remove the organics from it, it will be inorganic material. And from sustainability, our goal is to get everyone as, on board as far as organic recycling, and to try to work towards zero waste like Hennepin County. And I just wanted to clarify that all households then in March will receive an organics container, or will it be per request as it currently is?
Currently, it would be set up that it would be per request, so you would have to request the cart. It wouldn't be a full rollout of 16,000 and some organics carts. So yes, it would just be for those who want to participate.
Okay.
Everybody would still be paying, just like the recycling is now. Everybody would be paying the fee, but they would have to request the cart to get delivered.
Have you had discussions with other communities where they have rolled out and distributed the organics collection carts to every household?
I've not had long conversations about it. I do know that I believe Edina is the only one that I know of that when they did roll it out, they sent a cart to every house. How that was received and how it worked, I don't know those details, but they're the only one that I know of. But there could be other ones that have done it, that did it that way. As I understand it, the most are doing it, have done it the way we plan on doing it, where they
Okay.
request the card.
Thank you.
Commissioner Petain, go ahead.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You gave a very thorough explanation of the entire organic system. I also hate to keep city employees late into the night, so I hope you know how much we appreciate you. Also, organics, recycling, and composting is my passion. I'm the waste reduction commissioner. I think it's just something we all produce waste, so I think it's something that an impact that we can all have. So that's why it's something that's very important to me. And so the only thing that I wanted to add, because I think the other commissioners got all my questions, which I appreciate, is that I do hope that you will elicit our help as a resource. So perhaps this is more so for Ms. Wozniak, regarding the campaign to inform the community. I saw that video storytelling was one of the items that was going to be utilized to help help the community understand how that is supposed to be done. And I think that we as commissioners, who some of us already participate in organics recycling, are a good resource for that. Additionally, I know that you had on there the Hennepin County resources. Those resources are top notch. I utilize them in my home. Anytime anyone has a question about organics recycling or recycling in general, I immediately go to their website and will print off a page. I have them up in my home. I think they're fantastic. I think, it wasn't Kessa, it was who was our waste reduction? Claire, thank you. Claire had made sure that we had tons of resources to have at our farmers market tables or any times we were tabling, and I think a lot of the magnets that we had were fantastic. So I think making sure that we utilize those when we have our events to hand out to individuals, especially since this is something that we're trying to do a big push for in the coming year. I think when people have access to that information, it's going to just make it easier for them to understand what needs to be done. It's a very easy process. Or I think it is an easy process once it becomes, if we can get recycling to 95%, surely we can increase organics recycling, especially since people are already going to be paying for it now, to greater than the 5 to 6% that it is at. So I do appreciate the city for trying their best to make sure that we're getting as fair of a price as possible, especially in comparison to some of the other cities, because I also think that organics recycling should be accessible to people, and so, and financially accessible to people, and so I do appreciate the city's efforts to try to ensure that that takes place. But also, I think that the information push, I just want to make sure that you understand that the ambassadorship is something that we're quite passionate about, and so we should make sure that you're using us as a resource as well.
Thank you, and I have a note to contact Ashley when it's time for videos, because that is not my
Yes,
skill
I
set,
love it.
so-
Commissioner Carr is going to come to my house. You'll show us me teaching him how to do organics
let's go.
recycling. It'll be fantastic. We're writing up
We'll do
the
that.
script as we speak.
Thank you, Commissioner Petain. Darren, one clarification question. The calls for the containers, are those calls going to be directed to the city staff? It's not going to be Republic?
We're still working that out.
Okay,
I'm
that's
not
fine. I
sure
just-
yet.
I just
That
wasn't sure.
Yeah, there may be a call-in line that they'll go through Republic. We're definitely going to want to have a check and balance, so we definitely know what's going on regardless of who it goes to, whether it's Republic or the city. But we're going to be tracking that whole thing as it goes, as we, see what those participation numbers and that are. But yeah, those finer details are still to be determined.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions for Darren tonight?
I don't have a question, but it's my last comment.
Okay.
Promise. So the last thing I was going to say, as Julie's left, as an ambassador to the city and to organics recycling, I want to say that we live in a condo, which is a multi-unit dwelling, so it's kind of like there's like 4 and then there's a bunch of them. And I will say we very easily do organics recycling. I know people worried about bin size and whatnot. For some reason, sweet baby Jesus, Republic gave us a ginormous, I think that thing is like a 90-gallon garbage container, which of course, will I ever go through that? No, because our organics recycle. So we got that, we got the recycling bin, and then it is closer to like a 35-gallon organics bin or organics cart. It can't be close to it's got to be like 35 gallon. We fit all those very nicely in a 1-car garage, okay? It's very, very doable. And then also just doing it even in a condo, like I know sometimes people are worried about it being accessible to people who are in a non-traditional like single-family home. Still very accessible to everyone, so just wanted to make that note.
Thank you. I have Commissioner Henry?
Oh, yes, thanks. Just one last comment, too, that I don't want to make sure that that suggestion dies on the vine as well. So Commissioner Petain, thank you for opening up your home to this video creation. I really want that to happen. I want to make sure that there's a really simple to understand video, really short, no more than a couple of minutes. Put that out on the city's website, put it out on our YouTube channel, post it on LinkedIn, all those places that can gather exposure. If people are pooling all their resources and paying for this as a communal cost, then I don't see why we shouldn't have skyrocketing rates of adoption for this. And let's do our part. So thank you, and I hope to see you in that video. So question for Julie, do we have budget for that, and do we have resources to make a video?
Chair and commissioners, yeah, we'll talk to communications about how they are managing this. We let them make these decisions. I don't really make these decisions, but you sound like you have a perfect setup for it. So I'm going to highly recommend that Commissioner Petain be part of the video, but they do make those decisions. So Darren, I know you must have some budget kind of circulating for outreach and that sort of thing. So I don't know, we'll get there. Have faith, but we need your help too. Thank you. And Chair, I know we have our guests in the
Yes.
audience, so if we can move to the next agenda
Yes,
item.
I wanted to, with no other further questions, I'd like to open and close the public input portion for this agenda topic. And I'd like us, and Darren, I want to thank you very much for your presentation. So let's move on. 5B.
Thank you, Commissioners and Chair. We have a representative from Ridwell, which is a company that we talked about last month. Commissioner Meyer had experience with this company, and it really was centered around our hard to recycle items. We must have a theme tonight. It's all about waste, I guess. And so we weren't sure we were going to line up the planets to get them here, but they're here tonight. They do have a PowerPoint presentation for you. I have allotted in my mind, about a half an hour for this conversation. So if you don't mind, Chair, we'll have the representative come up and I'll load their presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Bushnack. Thank you. Welcome. Come on up to the podium. The floor is yours.
Thank you. It's a long way down there.
It goes pretty high.
I appreciate it. I'm actually going to grab a chair here quick. So you go all the way down.
Oh, I should put a disclaimer before you start. Sorry. The City of Minnetonka doesn't endorse any particular commercial provider of any item. What we're doing here tonight is exposure to a service. We don't vouch for the services provided, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all the fine print. Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I had to do that. You have the floor.
Yes.
Hey, thank you, Commissioners. My name is Jens Narveson. I'm the Operations Manager of Ridwell's Minneapolis-St. Paul location, and I thank you for the invitation to speak here tonight about Ridwell. So what is Ridwell? We are a waste reduction service for households and businesses, and our mission is simple. We try to figure out how we can help households and businesses recycle material that they aren't otherwise able to put out with curbside recycling and those hard and difficult to recycle items. We aren't a standard recycle collection. We're not a standard trash hauler. We're not taking material for ourselves to turn into something new. We actually partner with over 200 different partners across the country and really try to focus on local and community organizations first when possible who can reuse those materials that we collect. So how do we start? We started with our CEO, Ryan, and his then 6-year-old son, Owen, and they noticed, hey, we're throwing a lot of batteries away that we could find another way to reuse. We're throwing away a lot of light bulbs. Oh, we find some other people that are running into the same thing. And news about them spread, just going around, picking up from different people in their community, bringing it to different recycling centers, trying to find the best way to handle these materials. And it grew and grew and grew, and soon thousands joined. It became called Owen's List as news about Ridwell started to spread, and then became Ridwell. So how does Ridwell work? Members subscribe through our website. Everyone gets a lovely bin that they put out. And in the bin, you get your different bags that are canvas bags that we reuse as many times as possible before they expire. And then members fill the bags with the materials that we collect. We have them color-coded so people know what they need to go in. They then put the items in the bin. If they're really, really full, they don't always fit. That's okay. We'll still grab them. And then you opt into a pickup. So we don't stop by your house unless you say, hey, I have stuff for you to come and collect. That reduces our costs, reduces CO2 emissions, and just makes it really efficient for us as a company to operate. So what do memberships look like? We have 3 different levels of memberships. We have our classic membership, which gets you all these bags here. So it's collecting plastic film, clothes, batteries, light bulbs. We do collect other materials at an extra cost, so you can see listed down below there. Our next level up plan is Plastic Plus, which includes multi-layer plastic, which is this bag here. This is the size of one of our standard bags that you get in the large categories. Our battery and light bulb bags, slightly smaller, and people do fill them quite full. I did the other day help out on route, and I did have someone put a light bulb in one of these because it was big enough. We did take it, but that's the next level plan up. And then we have our unlimited plan. So if you are a household that really goes through a lot of material that could be recycled, we do offer an unlimited plan that doesn't matter how many bags of material you send us, we will take those as well. In our service area, I threw up kind of one of our charts that we use as we route things around. We go as far north as kind of upper part is Brooklyn Park, down into Bloomington currently. Next week and towards the end of this month, we're actually expanding down to Lakeville, Burnsville, and Apple Valley, which is really exciting. We go as far west out into Orono and as far east over into Woodbury. So our residential memberships, everyone gets one of the steel bins. They get the reusable cloth bags. We offer pickups every 2 weeks. As a part of that, if members have a question of, hey, I don't know if I can recycle this, They can email into our help desk. They're very quick at responding, telling them, hey, yes, you can recycle that. No, sorry, we can't take that. Or if it's something that we can't take, but we know someone in the area can take, we'll try to point you in that direction as well, because we're all trying to do good in the community to, throw out less. We also offer special waste reduction opportunities with special collections that we offer. On our online dashboard for members, we mention the different categories that are coming up as a part of our featured collection that rotate every 2 weeks. There are some that are standard, that are there all the time for members to opt in for. Others are only there for a little brief period of time. Like right now, we are, or at least one of our last collections was pots and pans that we collected for bridging here in the community. We've done Halloween candy, and upcoming we actually have campaign yard signs is one of our new ones coming up. We also offer scholarship programs for families and individuals. They're like, we really want to be a part of this program, but it's out of our price range. We can't afford it. We do offer scholarship programs for people interested in that. We do also offer commercial and nonprofit memberships. This is the newest area Ridwell has really grown into. They don't follow the pricing plan as set up for residential members. It's negotiated individually with the business because businesses have very complex needs and not one plan fits all for them. But they get offered the same opportunities for bi-weekly pickups, access to our help desk, and those same special waste reduction opportunities. My heart has a special place for nonprofits because that's what I went to school for originally. So I've made a deal in my market that any nonprofit that wants to work with us will automatically get a 5% discount because nonprofits are very important parts of our communities. So in our categories, we take items that are not a part of curbside collection. Our mission isn't to compete against cities or other waste haulers for items that are already being grabbed. We're looking for those items that you can't normally take. One of the things that comes to mind automatically is lithium batteries is a popular item right now because of the explosion risk with them. Large haulers don't quite know how to handle them, or we can do that beyond the smaller end. Reuse makes about 80% of what we collect from our categories. One of the fine examples you could say is when we collect wine corks. They're great for turning into little coasters on your coffee tables. Or we can go into, sometimes we'll collect denim for one of our partners. They turn them into bags. I know also buried in here, one of our newer ones, tire inner tubes from bicycles. The Twin Cities is commonly rated as one of the highest, best biking cities in America. We can take your bike tire tubes and turn them into something cool. So our categories, we go for those hard recycle items. So we take plastic film, multi-layer plastic, threads. We have our featured category. Batteries, including lithium, light bulbs, including fluorescent tubes. And these are items that we know aren't regularly collected as a part of standard curbside recycling. If we become aware of a city starting to take some of those items, we will pull it off our list of items that we take. The city of Portland is a good example. Some of their jurisdictions are now actually collecting batteries. So we pulled that off the menu of items that we take and replaced it with clamshells. That's something we don't currently collect in this market because it's also being handled by other haulers. We work with pre-identified partners. It's actually quite the process to become a partner with us. It generally takes about 3 months to actually work through and check, hey, you're actually reusing items the way you say you are. We really try to stick local whenever possible. So I think of the Prop Shop, I think of Bridging, Loaves and Fishes, Goodwill are some of our local partners that we work with. Some items like our plastic film have to go a little bit further, but we make sure we send it there in the most environmentally friendly way possible, bulk shipments, so it's not multiple shipments heading to different places. So our pickups are offered again bi-weekly. You have to opt in for them. We have our core categories of plastic film, light bulbs, batteries, and threads. We have our featured category as well. MLP, because it's that next level of partnership, that's an outside item. But we also do have add-on items that you can add on as well, especially like styrofoam is one that comes to mind if you're not an unlimited member. There are other markets that take things like latex paint that we currently don't take that members can also opt into as well. Our transportation, we drive around in these lovely cargo vans, the high-top extended ones. We have a software that routes our stops in the most efficient way possible, so we're not wasting gas going around. And that's why it's important that members opt in, because we do not stop at your house unless you opt in for us to go there. We also provide online tracking and verification of saying, hey, we've come to your house, we've picked up your items. Or if we run into an issue, the member will get a text message saying, hey, we couldn't find your bin, or there is an issue with this pickup, and they can work with our member support team to correct that issue. Once items are collected, they go back to our warehouses. This is actually a photo of Portland's previous warehouse. They just moved warehouses about a month or two ago. We take the items that have been pre-sorted into bags and are dropped off. Our warehouse teams go through them, sort out contaminants out of them, and then we package them and prepare them for our partners to either collect or to drop off with our local area partners. And we're fully transparent about what we do. We list our partners that we work with in the communities. We list our contamination ratings, which sometimes even I'm shocked at. And I don't like seeing. Styrofoam is one of our most highly contaminated items. It's something we update every 3 months. 1 month it was lower, I think it was maybe about 10%-ish. Right now I think it's showing closer to 30, because in our sample we had some rather foul styrofoam come through. But we're very honest about that, of like, hey, this is what we're seeing. And that's something I think sets us apart from other waste and recycling partners or companies, that we're very transparent about what we do and what we collect and what we're seeing, because we think that's really important. So going into some of our collection totals, I pulled some of this from our database. So since November of 2023, in plastic film alone, so think of that as like your Amazon packages, your grocery bags, we've collected almost 172,000 pounds of plastic film material. Threads is another one, over 221,000 pounds of material that we prevented from going to the landfill. And so in the course of a year alone, it's almost over 500,000 pounds of material that we prevented from going into the landfill. The Minneapolis Twin Cities market right now is about 77, almost 7,800 members. We get to some of our larger markets that have been around, like Seattle or Portland, we're averaging about 30,000 members. So their numbers are even more dramatically higher in what they save from going in the landfill each year. So our featured categories, just popping a couple out because we do offer a lot, and that's why they rotate every 2 weeks, is we have a lot of different categories we collect. One of the ones right now we're still actively collecting is candy. So factoring in what we've collected so far this year and last year, we've collected almost 3,000 pounds of candy. One of the partners that locally that is going to is Prism up the road in Golden Valley. Wine corks is another common one that we collect. Winter coats was a big one for us this year. We partnered with the Prop Shop and One Warm Coat, and with One Warm Coat we actually redirected about 7 pallets worth of clothes for hurricane relief recently. So we really do try to direct our items where there is need for them. And we're environmentally conscious, as being a recycling company should be, and our cities that we work with are really happy about this. The city of Seattle, Portland, Kirkland, many municipalities welcome us into their communities because we are taking those harder to recycle items, and their support is really critical to what we do. And our members all around are happy. Lisa writes, keeping our household waste out of our landfills requires knowledge, time, and effort. Ridwell's collection services make it easy. I love that Marcy puts down from Minneapolis. I love and I'm simultaneously getting rid of so many things in my home in a sustainable and earth-friendly way that are also going to worthy local causes that they support, which I think is huge because the community support and involvement is critical to us. And that really sums my quick presentation about us. I know I threw a lot at you, and I welcome any questions you may have.
Any questions for our guest speaker tonight? Matt, do you have one? Yes.
Sure, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. It's fun that you found a niche and you've seen the need and that you can hopefully fill the need. So I'm looking forward to seeing this program take off. Tactically, can you explain what happens to batteries and electric bulbs, and who are the partners and where do they get recycled to?
So batteries is one of our more popular ones because of the difficulty of handling that material. We work with Call to Recycle to process those. So they take them back, they sort through them, process them, and turn them into new batteries out of that material. What comes up in questions a lot about that is the lithium component, because the DOT has questions about that too and how that's transported. So how we safely transport that is once it's back to our facility, we put them in about 55-gallon metal drums, and it's kind of layered like a cake in that you have a material on the bottom. I believe it's called Cell Block X is the name of the brand. It's literally pelletized glass that we kind of layer that battery material, and so that way if a thermal reaction were to happen in there and a lithium battery were to catch fire, that glass would melt around it and snuff it out. When it comes to alkaline batteries, there's a similar matte material that goes in boxes that those are sent in, so if something were to catch fire, it melts down and puts that out. When my drivers drive around collecting the batteries, they go into metal bins that are sealable, so that way it can deprive oxygen of going in there as well as a safety concern. Light bulbs currently go to Clean Lights down in Burnsville is where we send our light bulb material.
Thank you. It seems like there's a little bit of overlap between what you do and what hazardous waste drop-off facilities have in terms of they can accept light bulbs, and I think some can accept batteries. Is that right? Looking to other commissioners, as well as you mentioned, you showed paint on your slides. And is that something that you're considering accepting, or are you already accepting paint?
So paint we are not currently accepting. I've heard it tossed around that we might be opening up maybe Q1, Q2 next year, but I haven't heard officially that we are for sure launching that in this market. When it comes to batteries, we know that there are some hazardous waste that can collect that, but it's something that your local municipal collections are not taking. So that's why it's one of our categories that we do collect.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're branching out from the traditional stuff that fits in a canvas bag to other things that households do want to get rid of in an ecologically responsible manner, but to this point they have to go to some central drop-off place to do that.
Right.
Is your company considering expanding to look at other household hazardous items like aerosol cans or gas or used oil or other things like that?
We look into a lot of different categories. The difficulty becomes finding a partner to take it. One of the items that commonly gets questioned about is flex foam. Many of you know, like styrofoam, when we think of styrofoam, we think the heavy, blocky material. We can take that. But when it comes to that flex foam, so think about sometimes that foamy material that cords are wrapped around or like in front of screens. We can't take that because we don't have a partner that can take that. We've actually scoured the country trying to find someone that can take that, and we haven't found anyone that will take that, which is frustrating. It's styrofoam was one of those materials that, yes, we collect it, but I would love to see totally eliminated just because of the problems that it causes.
Yeah, speaking of frustrations, I'm continually amazed at plastic bags and other things that could be made of compostable material, but to this point, there's a very low percentage of those things that are made out of these biodegradable, compostable materials. Does Ridwell have any clout within other nonprofits, lobbying organizations to say that there's a better way to handle packaging? And could you leverage some of those relationships to try to change producers thinking about that?
Me on a local level, I'll always advocate for it if it comes up. I know as a larger organization, we are working with companies to really kind of have them really acknowledge the waste that's coming from the materials they produce, like grocery bags. It was part why recently we actually had a brief pilot program with Target in that we are collecting multi-layer plastic items. So think about your chip bags, your ramen noodle packets, anything like that, is that our grocery stores are selling those items that produce that waste, but just kind of acknowledging, hey, there are other ways that those could be packaged that might be more sustainable. So we really do try to do as much education as we can on that.
Thank you. Last question for now. Do you see what the benefits are with having those central places for people to bring those items versus going out to individual homes? I'm thinking about reducing carbon footprint and reducing waste, about having individual trucks go to homes versus partnering with companies like Target and Cub and these places where people have to go anyway, or most people choose to do so anyway, where they could drop them off there. And it seems like it would maybe have better economies of scale, and it would conserve resources if you do that?
And that is a really good question. One of the things we ran into in our pilot program with Target was it really depended on the store and contamination level, and that's the problem when you have these big community drop sites, and it's how they're located too. Here in the Twin Cities, our collection went really well overall in terms of avoiding contamination. Yeah, there was some, but wasn't a ton. In the Bay Area, we were also trialing it, complete opposite story. I think that was in part due to where those bins were placed, because people would put Starbucks cups and coffee and food waste in there, and that turns it into material we can't send to our partner to recycle because it's been soiled. So that's one of the issues with those larger community sites, is the contamination involved with them. It's also yes, we do send out vans to go and collect them. That's a lot better than having multiple cars drive all the way to our warehouse in St. Paul to drop them off. It's a lot easier and less CO2 emissions for our van just to go around and pick them up. So that's why we really focus on that model of service.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Mayer, go ahead.
Thank you, Jens, for your presentation. And I know 2 years ago when my colleague told me that Ridwell was coming to Minnesota, I was very excited to try it. And we, as a household, have been thrilled. As I mentioned before, with the combination of organic recycling and then Ridwell taking the vast majority of our trash, we could have trash collection once a month with a small bag and limit that. I've also appreciated reading about the partners, some local, some not. Because in great detail on the website, we can visually see what products are being made, who the items are going to for reuse, household items, and it's been a great way for us to get rid of duplicates in our home and begin to trim down. One of the areas that last meeting, our Sustainability Commission was looking at resuming our plastic film collection, which was very successful and grew from 2 large containers at the health club and community center to 4, and needing to empty them every 2 days. So the public was really excited about that program, and we would be open to options that we could discuss of maybe partnering. And then the multi-layer plastic is something that isn't available for the vast majority of people without participating with Ridwell, and I think that would be a great utilization.
And I'm certainly open to a partnership like that, at least when it comes to me in this market. It's something I'd have to talk to some of our higher ups in HQ about if we could work something out like that. But I'm certainly open to it. I really approach recycling with, whether it's new items or businesses, of let's ask the question, because the worst someone can say is no. And I really think it takes everyone, whether it's just, individual members or whether it's community collection, we all play a part in, recycling more and helping our planet. So I'm always open to hearing about opportunities like that.
One other question. Do you know if there are any smaller businesses in Minnetonka or in the Twin Cities utilizing the unlimited option for Ridwell?
There are, and that's why we're kind of starting to open up this kind of business nonprofit side of the company, is because that really does push our capacity. That plan wasn't designed for a business level scale. It was more meant for a residential size. So we'll be working with those businesses about that. But really in any business contract we'd come up with, whether it's a large business, a small one, we want to make sure it's something that is affordable to them, that it's something we as a company obviously can still make money on, but still do good in the community doing.
And then lastly, do you know of any other companies who are providing a similar service?
Of this style, I'm not aware of any currently in the metro.
Thank you.
Commissioner Patain.
Jens, first of all, thank you so much for the fantastic presentation. Also, as I've said, as waste reduction being my favorite thing, I am a Ridwell fan. Okay, Commissioner Meyer put me onto this at our last meeting, and when I went to the website, I was like, how much is this going to cost me? And I closed my eyes, and I was like, I'm willing to pay $50 a month, because that's how badly I wanted the service. $18, I was like, take my money immediately. Immediately take my money. And I have been so pleased. No, I'm serious. I have been so pleased with the service. It's just fantastic. And like Commissioner Meyer was, it adds the perfect, it's like the extra step after if you're already recycling, organics recycling, this is the next step that's getting the other items in your home that you can't quite capture. And I know that Commissioner Henry had asked about, is there like ways that we can partner? Because I know Target does have a bin for Ridwell, the one at 101, which I think they just collect some things, it looks like, at that location, maybe like the bread bags and stuff or something like that. Having though, as someone who, like, when you're a parent or whatever, for whatever reason that you're busy, having a curbside service, I just really appreciate the curbside service. I know there's going to be downsides to it, but I do believe in the accessibility that it offers is incredibly, incredibly helpful. The batteries were just collected in my house because I didn't know what to do with them. And by the time you can make it to the hazardous waste, the nearest one is forever away. It's a big thing. And then the giant, I look like Santa Claus carrying them bags in a Target. You know what I mean? Because you collect them, it's a whole thing. So I am so appreciative of the service that you offer. And then you guys, took the next step of making sure that you're partnering with local partners that you make sure can use the products. I think that is just absolutely fantastic. So I absolutely love the service. I encourage individuals to use it, especially because it does reduce the amount of trash that you're producing. And also it makes you very conscious and aware of how many products that you're purchasing in the store that are coming from like multi-layer plastics. And even when you're conscious of that, you can be like, okay, is there another option for me to purchase from that maybe is not something that is can be recycled in a different way. So I think that's something that I really appreciate about the service. So fantastic service. I am very appreciative of it. I just think it offers a way that makes me feel a little bit better about what I'm able to do with the items that I use. And then one last thing, the Thread service, that is fantastic, because of course I give to Goodwill, or I do the Epilepsy Foundation a lot because they do curbside as well. But sometimes you have items that can't quite be, you can't donate them because they're just not good quality. So having a service that provides you the opportunity to recycle them, I just love it. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. And I do want to take a moment to clarify, though, too. It's like we have ended that collection at the Targets. That was a very small pilot program to see what it would look like. I know our headquarters is kind of reviewing the data on that still to see if it's something we can do at a larger scale or if it's something that we could try in another format, because we're always trying different things and innovating. But I really do appreciate the positive feedback on it. I know our members do get surveys. They kind of randomly go out, and it's something I actually review weekly, is what comes back in, what people are seeing, what issues they're having. So I really do appreciate the feedback. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Carr, go ahead.
Thanks for a great presentation. It was eye-opening, and appreciate your efforts to what you're trying to accomplish. I wrote down something about lithium and batteries. What was the name? Where do you take those?
Call to Recycle is the company that we work with for that.
Call Recycle?
Call to Recycle.
Call to Recycle.
CALL number 2
Okay.
Recycle.
Thanks. So, do you have any idea what they do with it?
So
Because
they
it's not your problem, I know, but it was kind of brought up last time. I'm worried about where our batteries go.
Right. My understanding
ultimately.
is they take those batteries, they melt them down, recycle them, so they can be turned into new batteries. Is my understanding of how that works.
Okay.
So basically, just turning them into a similar product.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I have a few I'd like to ask you.
Sure.
First of all, thank you very much for your presentation. I was not familiar with your company. I still am not familiar with your company, and I apologize. I'm going to have to go to your website. What you guys are doing is dear to my heart, because for 9 years I worked for a special waste recycler here in the Twin Cities called Recycleites.
Okay.
They're no longer in business. They were acquired by a evil corporation out of the state, and they were shut down. But I was the corporate environmental health and safety director. So I have a couple questions, just clarifying. Are you guys, do you consider yourself to be a broker? Because you're not actually processing any of the waste. And when I'm saying that, specifically with regard to lamps, or as you would say, the bulbs from a residential perspective, you're not doing anything with a compact fluorescent bulb, are you? You're just collecting it and then sending it off to this company called Call to Recycle, is that correct?
No, light bulbs go to Clean Lights.
Oh, Clean Lights, okay.
And they're down in Burnsville.
Okay, okay. So you're simply, and we did the same thing. We collected and we aggregated and we acted as a broker. There were certain products we didn't do anything with except send them off to another company to do something. So I'm assuming you don't have equipment to segregate or to process all these different materials. So aren't you in essence, and this is not a negative, but I would classify you guys as a broker.
A broker is a good word to put at it, but we do
Okay.
actually sort through it. We don't have machines that do
Right.
it. My staff does
Okay.
sort through it by hand to make sure
Right.
things are actually sorted out.
Okay, okay. Another picky question, just because I wasn't a corporate EHS director, you're getting compact fluorescent lamps. I assume you're getting some straight fluorescent lamps, or as you would say, bulbs?
Like your fluorescent tubes.
Right, yeah, the tubes. As you know, they all contain mercury. Now, there's less mercury today than when I was started in that business many, many years ago. But if you are collecting fluorescent lamps and you're collecting the compact fluorescent lamps or any straight tubes, do you guys have any breakage that occurs during transportation of those items?
So thankfully, in the time that I've been with the company since March of this year, I haven't had any breakage in my vans or in the warehouse. But we do provide in the vans, we do provide cleanup kits for our drivers, and we have very kind of strict protocols of, hey, if something like that breaks, get away from the area, let the dust settle, and we provide items from to clean that up so that the mercury dust and stuff isn't spreading. So we are very careful about that.
Okay, that's another issue, and I don't want to bore everyone with that perspective. When you collect the lamps or the tubes or the batteries to your vendors, who at Ridwell goes there and does what I would call to be a rigorous environmental health and safety audit of that company to make sure that they are complying with all of their environmental rules and regulations and their required OSHA regulations? I used to get people from across the country, for East and West Coast, they would fly in and they would do their environmental audits of me. And I always told the staff, I'm getting sliced apart like a hot dog, anywhere from 4 hours to 12 hours. They'd ask me zillions and zillions of questions. So do you guys do audits of the folks that you send your collected materials to? And you're saying, yes, that's good. Who at Ridwell is qualified to do that, or do you use outside contractors to do that?
So that goes to our partnerships team.
Okay.
So it's a set group of people that goes and works with our partners, investigates them, makes sure they're actually following through with what they say that they're doing.
Do you know what their background is? Because when you say your partners, I'm just curious to know who actually does that. Are they environmental engineers? Do they have master's degrees? Are they qualified? Do they have any professional certifications so that you and others feel confident that the people auditing your designated vendors are qualified to do that?
And that's a good question. I personally have not dove into the educational background of our partnership team members because they are all throughout the country. That's just not something I have the ability to do. But it is a vigorous process that they go through. Again, it takes about 3 months of them digging into them to make sure, hey, this partner is actually doing what they say they're doing with the materials that we send them.
Do you know offhand if your audit folks actually go to Clean Lights or Call to Recycle and do a site inspection and look through their documentation? For example, hazard communication is a very large OSHA requirement. And do they look through those plans? Do you have contingency plans? I'm just wondering, how rigorous is the review of your vendors? Is it as rigorous as I hope it is? But again, I don't know much about you guys, so I'm just curious to know that, having gone through that as a recipient hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times over many, many years.
And that is a good question that you're asking. I do know that they do go and do on-site visits and they do inspect them. I do not know what they all look through, so I don't want
That's
to
okay. That's all
say
right.
officially on that way, but I do know it's quite the rigorous process.
Okay, thank you. You've answered my questions. I appreciate it. Didn't mean to nitpick, but I was rather curious, having basically worked for a special waste recycler, as what MPSA used to call special waste recyclers years ago. So thank you very much for your presentation. I enjoyed it. Thank you. If there are no other questions for our gentleman, I will open and close the public input portion for this part of the agenda item. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now move on to our next agenda item, which I believe, unless it would be item 5C on the agenda. Ms. Wishnak, I turn the floor
Yes.
back to you.
Thank you. This is the Sustainability Commission work plan for the next year. Really your two actions you could have tonight. You could provide more feedback. We could update the plan, bring it back to you again. Or you could move to approve the plan and then we'll go to the city council with it. So that's kind of your two options. And I don't think I laid that out very clearly in your report. So I just wanted to make sure you understood you had choices on that. I'll just go through quickly because a lot of these are like we're starting to get a rhythm, right, about what we're doing every year. And so some of these things are the same, some are new from our conversation last month when we asked, you know, what was important to you all. And so you'll see some of your recommendations on the various quarters and the work plans for every everything you mentioned. I hope I picked up everything. If I didn't, we can add it. So the first thing is for outreach, you know, attending the December and February Renters Market. We'll go through this in my next PowerPoint as well, kind of trying to get the outreach pinned down for the winter. Then also consider the changes that you talked about in terms of the Everything Electric event, trying to do some neighboring community promotion together, and then also do some electric equipment promotion as well. Planning Earth Day seemed important to have a little bit more presence on that day, and then also consider your public outreach and some of the volunteer campaigns that you have planned. Moving into education, looking at the Sustainable Minnetonka Awards, redefining the categories as we discussed last month. We just had the presentation by Ridwell, so I'm going to take that one off. We also wanted a presentation about green disposal. This can go one of two ways. We actually have an opportunity to go visit the recycling center. We'll talk about that in a minute. Or you can have somebody come here and present to you. I tend to think you like to go out and see things, so perhaps you'll opt for that. So it depends on how we want to handle that. The next thing is also then planning the sustainability awards. And I think Commissioner Henry, you mentioned kind of backtracking, like when do we want to present it, and then trying to figure out what months we need what. I would say January to February, you would be accepting applications. March, you would review and score application, then award it in April to match up kind of with all of the Earth Day promotion. So hopefully that schedule works. That does depend on a staff person, which again I will update you, and that's all good news. And so hopefully that would just take off from there. The person is very familiar with how to do that and can handle that. Implementation of actions in the Climate Action Plan are included, as well as attending possible tours. I did contact Xcel Energy about the tour of the Monticello plant. I haven't heard back yet, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes, but I have it on your list. And then do the plastic free challenge, and then submit our final work plan report from 24. So we'll get that ready for you to look at in January, and then you can put your final stamp of approval on it, and we'll turn that into the council as well. And then talk about organics, recycling, renter options, city participation, opportunities to increase participation, and we kind of already went through that with Darren tonight. And any other educational opportunities we identify along the way. In quarter two, we have, of course, now we're headed into summer, and we're going to do our summer's farmers markets. We're going to do Earth Day promotion. We also want to do the promotion of energy audits. So we do have better luck in the spring than we do in the winter. For some reason, it just doesn't seem to pan out very well in the winter. So we'll probably move that to spring if that's okay. Continue on the recycling, organics, And then, I can't remember who mentioned this, but conducting the public outreach talks about the life cycle of recyclables. We talked about our visit to the recycling plant and trying to maybe recreate our experience there and what we saw and share that with the community. So that I put that down as a item of work. And then we talked about green business recognition and business outreach. So I think the sustainability awards are pretty pre-done. Just have to change a few things. It's easier. This one's a little bit newer, and so it might take a little bit more time to get through. And then conducting that second clothing swap and sometime in the spring. And then present the awards. And I think Commissioner Meyer and I have been in contact with a couple of people who can do our heat pump presentation, and so we have to compare our notes a little bit, but we do have a few leads on someone who can come and speak to you on that, so that would be good, and that's a good time of year for them, obviously, because they're quite busy right now. Material donation in an event in partnership with Hennepin County, that's the special drop that we have at Public Works, and then do the promotion of the Stop Food Waste Challenge as well as part of the partnerships. Talked about neighborhood green teams, continuing that discussion. Waste programs at schools, I believe someone mentioned that last month, I can't remember who. We do have to review our bylaws and elect our chairs in that same time frame. I think it happens in April. And then work on our strategies in the plan. Couple more slides, 2 more slides here to cover third and fourth quarter. I'm looking for anything new. Do another solar power hour, on-site solar energy event. I think there was an article in the newspaper about some difficulty in the financing of that. And so maybe just talking about that maybe and educating people about the information that was shared in the, I think it was in the Star Tribune. I read it over the weekend. So maybe just a little bit more education there. Perhaps maybe then after you've heard your air source heat pump presentation, then you would go ahead and maybe roll that out to the public. Maybe people just don't understand it and they would want to hear a presentation. We talked about doing a tour of a sanitary landfill. I haven't organized that yet, but we talked about it. And then somebody wanted to go to a wastewater treatment plant. Yes? Am I doing that right? Okay. Continue the food waste challenge, and then we didn't really follow up on the disincentives piece of the bags in businesses, so we might want to strategize about how to do that, and so just put that on the other list. And finally, looking for maybe do some webinar outreach in the fourth quarter of next year. Again, solar gardens. And then also attend a presentation on PFAS. It's such a big issue, and perhaps we haven't talked about it a lot here. I know the City Council talks about it a lot, and so maybe it's something we should talk about as a group. And then just looking, salt use, that's commensurate with that time of year. And restaurant waste, that's another follow-up we need to do. And then continue on the climate action plan. So those are the things I caught from our discussion last time. Please let me know if I've missed things or misrepresented things, and then we can amend as needed. Chair, I'll turn it back to you for discussion.
Thank you, Ms. Wishnak. Any comments on the proposed work plan from my fellow Commissioner Carr? Yes.
I'm wondering under education and recognition or learning, the last year or so in working within my network in commercial construction, I've bumped into a lot of very innovative geothermal systems now that are being used actually quite widely. Do we, it looks like we already have a full plate, so I don't want to add anything to it, but I might be able to organize something that would be a good tour or demonstration or a site visit that's being used pretty prevalently here locally, very successfully. And it's a new way of doing geothermal if we want to add one more thing. But it looks like we have a pretty full plate, so I don't want to.
Well, I think, Chair, normally what happens is then, and this is kind of going back to when the commission was established, in the month that you're not meeting, you're either doing outreach or going to be educated about some other issue. So we try to kind of, when you're not meeting, you have some tour or some outreach event. So hopefully we fill in the gaps between your meetings with those kinds of things. So if you're willing to organize something, what I do is I then tell the commission, and then we try to get at least most of you there if at all possible. So
Well, just offer it if the commissioners and yourself think it might be helpful. If not next year, the following year or something, if we've already got a pretty full plate.
well, I think, some of these things are fluid, so let's keep you on. I'm going to keep it in my notebook to
Okay.
see if there's
To be
opportunity.
determined.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions?
I
or
also,
thoughts?
just to comment on that, thank you, Mr. Carr. And I can see that being a nice collaboration with the air source heat pump presentation to present both, because when
Ties together.
residents or businesses are looking for electrification, that's a natural comparison. So I would be interested.
Maybe we can combine the two. Okay.
I think that would be a great idea. I think we're all open-minded and we'd like to learn more about a new technology, especially one that we're not familiar with. I think it would be very beneficial.
Okay, I can add that to the May. That'll be in the second quarter, I believe. Oh, try to press the right computer here. Yes.
Any
The
other-
demonstrations might be better for the summer than spring, but
Okay. Well, let's see how it works out
Okay.
timing-wise. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Wishnak. Any other thoughts or comments on the work plan? Commissioner Henry?
Thanks, Chair. Just a couple of small things. I mentioned offhand about the previous year's Sustainable Minnetonka Awards and how they weren't made from locally sourced wood. We have a large amount of wood that we can use from down trees with oak wilt and emerald ash borer and everything else too. So I think the optics would be great if we could take locally sourced wood that was taken from Minnetonka and make that into some beautiful awards. I know it's a small thing, but
No, Chair and Commissioner, I do have that on a side list. I have a list that I show you, and then I have my side list. That is on there, the wood that's used for those awards. Also, the other side list is the natural bag with the city logo on it that you can pass out at events. A little bit newer swag for you to, instead of always the light bulbs. I know you get sick of handing those out, so I'll look for new swag that's more sustainable, right?
thank
Awesome.
you. Another thing to mention too is the Center for Energy Environment still the one doing the home energy audits?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
we got a grant for the additional, I thought I told you this last month. I'm losing my mind. I can't remember what I told you. $48,000 from PCA to do additional inspections and energy audits. So I think the promo for that, I'm not sure when it's going out, but it is going out to the public. So hopefully we're getting more signups.
That's great. To add on to that one, remind me, in the historical home energy audits, was thermal imaging scans of the house part of that?
It is.
Yes.
It is. For the,
Or at least when I did it, it was.
yeah, it was, especially if you plunked down. I think there were two options. There was one that they did less, and then if you did more, you could get a thermal imaging.
Yes.
So that was included because I had
They
that
showed you
done.
the cold
Yeah.
spots
Yeah.
if you were doing it in the
Yeah.
winter.
Yeah, that's good. And that's why I brought it up. You mentioned that it seems to have more traction in the warmer months, that people opt in
I
for
don't know
these.
why, but that's usually when we get more signups. I don't know why, but
It is more effective to see the difference between hot home and cold environment, to see where the leaks are if it is done in cold winter months. So if there's some way that we can put that in the Minnetonka memo, advertise a little bit more, testimonials from people who have done
Say
that and taken
free.
action.
I keep saying free and no one,
We-
it's like, oh my goodness, let's do it.
Early on, when we started, there was a webinar that talked about home energy audits. Because Drew
Yeah.
headed up, and yours truly was focused, because I just had one. So I commented on how useful and beneficial that home energy audit was.
Is it free? I'm sorry, didn't mean
It
to.
is now,
Yeah.
for a while, until we use up our money.
A quick clarifying question. When is the time, when do we have to expend all that money by?
I think we have two years to spend
Okay,
it.
okay,
yeah.
very good.
Yeah. What I'll do for your next outreach is I'll write that up in terms of that home energy audit and what the parameters are and how you contact. We have a handout on it, but I don't think it's Minnetonka specific, so we'll add the Minnetonka specific information on it. Okay.
Thank you.
I'd love to see some of that budget, if we can earmark it for another testimonial video, somebody who's had a positive experience with it, or maybe even going live with a home energy audit.
Yeah. that would
It
be
dispels
cool.
lots of rumors. People have lots of questions about what was involved in it, and I think it could be beneficial.
Well, our own Kessa Andrews from Green Corps is working with CEE doing home energy audits this year.
Who's actually doing
Part-time.
it. Yeah, exactly. That's great. Yep. So, yeah, we'll continue to work on the.
So that screams
PR of
out
that.
for, can we partner with her, and she could make a video in conjunction with the city, and we can
Commissioner
educate more
Henry
people
has
out.
a lot of to-dos tonight. Okay, I'm going to try, but there are other, I think the organics and composting, that's a priority. The energy audits have been around for a while, and I think we want to keep ramping it up, but I can't promise that one. But we'll continue to work on it. I know we have a great videographer in our office, and so he loves doing video. So anytime we can share videos, he's on it, but it takes time.
So Julie, you're saying you can promise the
I cannot.
the one over
cannot.
with Commissioner Batains with
Well, I'm going to try
A
everything. I
volume
can.
discount.
thank you.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes, just a comment. After learning about the home energy audit and talking to some people, a couple of architects in Minnetonka and nearby, it seems there's interest in actually making that part of their presentations, because it can grow the scope of their services in a way that benefits the homeowner. For if it's free or small, it actually can attract more business for the architects by saying we can do a home energy audit for you. And it also helps then that architect or engineer define the scope of their remodeling project for the owner, and it incorporates sustainable design standards. So it kind of
Excellent.
helps in both regards. So that's why
And
I
if you
will-
didn't know, everybody who receives a rehabilitation loan from the city is required to have the audit. So if the city is providing a loan to a household, they have to go through the audit first. So,
I mean, a big advertising or promotion campaign would be great, because so many people don't even know it's out there.
people aren't listening, I don't think. We're not delivering it right, Matt. I think we've got to get our videos out there. People
all.
don't read as much, right? They scroll. And so we get that. Can't write about it. Doesn't excite people enough. So
I'm
I
hearing
get
you
it.
changing your tune, that you're starting to promise.
No,
this
I've
video.
always been a video person. If you don't know me at all, video is my thing. I love video, but it's expensive and it's hard to edit and it's time consuming. So
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If, Commissioner Meyer, go ahead, sorry. Go ahead,
One more.
please.
I'm thrilled with the breadth and depth of our project for 2025. The one thing that I would recommend bringing back is the our outreach to the businesses, and maybe that was incorporated, but the business blitz that we did with Center for Energy and Environment, I thought had a huge impact for a small investment of time. Just being the face of Sustainability Commission, coming to so many of the businesses in Minnetonka, I thought was very powerful. And we have additional things, organic recycling and Ridwell option, other,
Probably the third quarter, maybe? Should we put it in there?
I would concur with Commissioner Meyer, as one of the folks that went out with those guys, and there were several of us here that did that. We got a lot of bang for our buck. We did, in terms of trying to reach a lot of businesses within the city of Minnetonka in a short fashion with some experts. That was very beneficial. I think our previous business outreach was not as successful. I seem to recall that. As a matter of fact, I know
Right.
it wasn't as successful. So with that group, we were more successful, and it was beneficial.
Chair, would you mind, and Commissioner Myers, since it's your suggestion, can I put business outreach rather than the certain how you're going to do it? I'd rather just put the subject matter, and then you can figure out the how later. Because
I agree.
there's
I agree.
mixed signals on
Yes.
whether the blitz was the right answer.
then you
Okay.
already had it.
Yeah, no, I did not have it, so I think I need to add it, and if you're okay with me putting it in the third quarter, I'd put it on the other category on this page.
And I'd offer to help reach some of the businesses, if you'd like.
Yeah,
you,
we would
Commissioner.
do a full sign up for that when we're to that point.
Yep, that sounds very, very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have two changes for sure.
Yeah.
Geothermal, question mark. Maybe just write a little bit more about a home energy squad, ramping up the PR on it, and then the business outreach.
Sounds good, thank you. Any other questions for staff? If not, I will open and close the public input portion for this agenda item, which was 5C on tonight's agenda. So with that, we will move to our next agenda item, which
Educational, yes.
is our educational opportunities, which is agenda item 5D.
So I think I mentioned most of these already, Chair and Commissioners. So the first one was Exiled. We've done the government liaison outreach for that person. They'll be back in touch with me. I made that contact about 3 weeks ago, so hopefully they'll get back to me. The heat pump, we both have had contacts, Commissioner Meyer and I have, so we'll solidify that, and then we'll add the geothermal if possible. And then the last one I need to hear from you is if you do want to go to the Hennepin County Transfer Station in Brooklyn Park and do a visit. This is something that's available as early as December. I think I looked at December 11th was the first opening they had. It's a 1-hour tour, and they take you around the facility and show you the various recycling items, and then they talk about where the items go, like we talked about just with Ridwell, very similar thing. We can also wait on this. If you don't want to do it as quickly as December, we can wait until next year, so it just depends on your desire. So that is all I need from you on this slide.
Very good. I would just like to add, as a user of the transfer station, I think it would be definitely interesting. It would be very interesting for all of us if we have the time to go there. I think a lot of people probably don't go there. So I definitely think it's worthwhile.
Okay.
Sooner rather than later.
Okay. Is that consensus? Okay, so after the meeting, you're going to come and we're going to talk about dates, and we'll do that off camera. But December 11th might be our first opportunity. Okay, thank you, Chair. We'll coordinate schedules on that.
Thank you. I think that action was just for us to provide you with feedback, so that concludes that. We'll open and close the public input portion for item 5D. We'll move on to item 6A. Ms. Wishnak, thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of things I want to remind the Commission about is we do have a staff person almost ready to start. Just a few check marks on a few backgrounding things, and then I can share the person's name with you and share where their experience has been from and all of that. I think you'll be very happy with the selection once I can share it. I was hoping that everything was done today and I could announce who it was. So I apologize, but just a few more things to wrap up, and then that person will be on board. I'm guessing within 3 weeks that person would be here. So I'm waiting for that to happen. So any questions about that?
Not a question, just a clarification point. I'm delighted to hear that. We've all been anxiously waiting for Drew's replacement. Will you notify us, I assume, via email?
I'll
So
email
those of
you
us
all.
should definitely
Check
check
your
our
email
city
in the
I'm gonna check
emails
my email just
routinely.
for this,
Check
Julie.
your email in the next week. Yeah.
So I'll have to check our
City
the records
email.
here, but we all plan to check our emails to learn about who our
Excellent. Yes.
next person is. So
Yeah,
thank you.
we'll do an announcement that way, and then depending on the start date, perhaps the recycling tour would be the first opportunity to meet the person. Your outreach events are scheduled for December 14th and February 8th. We weren't able to get into the November session for the farmers market last weekend, so I apologize for that. I just assumed they always had us in the docket for a table, but that must not have been the case. So they have us now for the next two times. So
What were those dates?
the December 14th and February 8th. And so again, after the meeting, I'll ask somebody we'll see who can come to what session. You don't have to go to both sessions. You can come to one. That would be great. And a couple of people at each would be great. Minnetonka Matters, if you're wondering anything that's going on in the city, I always encourage you to look at minnetonkaMatters.com. We have a few issues hanging out there for public testimony and public comment. So if you're not watching that site, that is where we take public input on just about everything from cannabis to dogs to you name it, the city budget. So anything that is of interest to you. And then Smart Salting, I put the link in the packet if in case you want more education. I know you're going to be doing outreach over the winter, and we talked about having your cup of salt at the table so that you can explain to people the impact of that salt use in their and how little salt you really need to do your work and saving yourself from slipping and falling, but also be a conscientious person with the use of salt. But if you need refreshers or more education, that is available to you as a local official. If you need help with registering or anything like that, let me know. And then Commissioner Meyer, you sent the conservation crew information. If you want to share that, I just didn't want to forget to share it with the group.
Yes. Conservation Minnesota promotes education at the middle school level. A lot of high schools already have environmental groups, but middle schools less so. And currently, they provide, I believe it's $2,000 for funding and expenses to a teacher who's willing to supervise a student-led middle school group. And we have about 40 statewide, some preference given to rural communities, but well represented within the Twin Cities as well. So it's something that every year by September 1st, I believe, applications are taken. So the summer is a perfect time to apply. And I would encourage our Minnetonka schools, if they don't have an environmental club, sustainability club at middle school level, whether they're private or public, to consider collaborating with and apply for the Conservation Crew grants.
Excellent.
I don't know if we contact school board or...
I think, Chair and Commissioner Meyer, I think that probably one of the first things maybe the sustainability coordinator could do is get an inventory of the schools and their offerings. And if they have a club first, that would be do the research. And then by the spring, contact those schools to offer the information in the program. So I think maybe understanding, because there's, I'm thinking about Eagle Ridge Academy, I'm thinking about Lionsgate Academy, I'm thinking about District 287. I mean, there's
Right.
lots more schools than Minnetonka and Hopkins and Wayzata in the city. So lots of different school choice here. So we should capture that all.
Yeah. And the projects are often a collaboration of school and community. It's not meant to be isolated to the school. They produce videos of their success, and it's all student-led, and including the video presentation. I was
Excellent.
one of the judges for the award ceremony, and it was quite entertaining to watch. It was impressive to see what they could do.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll let the new coordinator know. Thank you. That was all I had, Chair, for the staff report, unless you have any questions for me.
I do not. Does anyone else? If not, I will open and close the public input portion for item 6A. We will move on to item 7, which is a report from my fellow sustainability commissioners. Does anyone have anything in addition they would like to specifically report to the fellow commissioners? Commissioner Petain?
I have a
please.
quick one. So bags, you guys know I love them. If they're reusable. So Target, if you do a pickup order, I just realized today that now there is an option where you can choose your bagging option. So you can select to use your own bags for your pickup order, or they will use their bags. I am very excited about this because this is where most of my grocery bags come from. It's because they bag them in their grocery bag orders. So now I can select to have them use my bag. So I'm assuming they'll just bring it out to the car and they'll load it directly into my reusable bags. I'm very excited for this option. So just wanted to inform the community of this new option as well, in case you like to get your pickup order from Target and do not want to utilize those bags anymore.
Question, Chair. Is it
Yes.
is it just a question about where it's in the link, so when you check
So
out?
I order it, yes, through the app. So when you're in the app and you're checking out, and one of the options is, you're just confirming the order. It says you can edit your bag choice. So it automatically defaults to using their bags.
I see.
But you can select to use your own bags.
Got it.
And
Okay.
so I am picking up an order after this meeting tonight. So hopefully I'll have more to report at the next meeting on how that goes. But I'm
Let us
assuming
know.
that I just have my bags in the car and that they'll load directly into those
I haven't
bags.
seen that yet, so okay.
Yes,
I'll
no,
look
I was
closer
very
at my
excited. I
app.
literally just saw it today, so I'm pretty excited about that because that's where, unfortunately, a lot of my bags come from. But I love the option of getting the pickup orders.
Thank you, Commissioner Petain. Any other comments? Yes.
I just wanted to put a plug in for the programming that's going on at the Shakopee, Minnetonka, and Sioux Community Museum this month for American Indian History Month. There's an exhibition called We Are Water, Minnesota, and it's through December 7th. And it's organized by the Minnesota Humanities Center and the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, along with some other state agencies and partners. It's a free exhibit, and it explores the connection to water through stories and experiences from communities throughout Minnesota, invites visitors to contribute their own water stories. It was really interesting. There was a speaker there that we attended a tribal garden educational event that's been in conjunction with this exhibition, and it was fascinating. They talked about sort of agro diversity, soil health, things like that, and how they've created a community garden in a pretty difficult landscape. So there's lots of great programming going on this month at the museum, and just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Norman.
Just, Chair, Commissioner Norman, it was the, how do you say it again? Hoto Kaiti? Is that the right?
It's difficult for me, yeah,
Okay.
it's a Dakota word, and
Okay, I just want to make sure that's the event you said. And a lot of the city employees are going to it as a group.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so I
fantastic.
wanted to share that. So,
It's
excellent.
It's a great exhibit, hands-on, and lots of personal stories that
Excellent.
are really rich and yeah,
Okay, we'll
It'll be
hear
great.
from the people.
Lots of takeaways from it.
Awesome.
so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Norman. Ms. Wishniak, I think if there's no other information to be presented from our Sustainability Commissioners, I will move to item 8 on our agenda, which is other business. Does anyone have any other business they want to bring up tonight? I think the answer is no, so I will close with item number 8. We will move to item 9 on the agenda, which is adjournment. So, would anyone like to make the motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Petain has made the motion. Is there a second to?
I second.
Commissioner Meyer seconds. Ms. Wishniak, do you want to poll the members or just
Say all in favor.
all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.